What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today is Wednesday, which of course means it's time for another Western New York Wednesday here on the channel. And the beer I'm reviewing today, once again, comes from the Southern Tier Brewing Company, and they're out of Lakewood, New York, and this is their Tiramisu, and this is a part of their Blackwater Series, and this is the 2024 release. So this is an Imperial Stout, and on the side of the label it says ale with natural flavors, and it also says made with milk sugar, aka lactose. It comes in at 10% alcohol by volume, 25 IBUs at the time of review. And this bottle is approximately 9 weeks old and also has a best by date of October 3rd of 2025. So they give 1 year on this beer specifically, which is kind of normal for the beers in their Blackwater series. Speaking of which, this is the newest release from Southern Tier within the Blackwater series, which is their series of it's a series of imperial dessert beers, and most of the time it's stouts. They've, I'd say the series has been around for 15 plus years at this point. When I first started drinking craft beer in late 09 into early 2010, there was definitely a couple on the shelves that I saw. So it's been going for a very long time. So they're trying to mimic the tiramisu in Imperial Stout form. So, I'm here for it. They also have a little spiel on the side that I'll read. It says, the Anytime Treat. It says, the Blackwater Series presents Tiramisu Imperial Stout in all its layered lusciousness. Toasted sweet malts come together with notes of rich dark coffee and a silky smooth finish to recreate the delicate deliciousness of classic tiramisu. Now, they did a good job with the font because, or the colors, because it is like a brown on a tan background. But wow, that's tiny font to be reading when you're old. But I did it. I succeeded. Anyway, let's crack this one open. I really haven't seen anybody else say anything about this one on BeerTube. And if I did see it, I probably wouldn't have looked at it just because, I want to kind of form my own opinion. But we'll talk more about the Blackwater series later because over the past couple of years, they've been hit or miss for me. And I used to love this series. It was always a can't miss series, and it always hit. Not as much anymore. I'm pouring into the hashtag proper glass where we get the old school Southern Tier, whatever you want to call it, like a goblet or whatever. I don't know what the actual, like almost a tulip, I guess. It's more of a tulip. But anyway, the old logo there, the maroon logo that they haven't had in a long time. But it's still a similar logo. It's just not the color anyway. So do something like that, right? A little bit aggressive there at the end. Just a little bit in there, but I want to kind of be able to get my nose in there. So how does this beer look? Well, in the hashtag proper glassware that I won't show you properly, that looks beautiful. Hold it up to light. Yeah, this is like a very, very dark brown on camera, so it looked pitch black. In the glass, it looks pitch black until I get to the bottom here, and it's more of like a darker brown. Had about a 3/4 of a finger, which is now a half finger of the straight up mocha colored head. It's not really going away, but I didn't generate a huge pour. I didn't pour it super aggressive or anything. And then in the hashtag proper glassware, you got, exactly this is, what is this, chocolate in here? Is this oat? Is this Java? Is this mocha? I don't know. But anyway, let's get a nose. Wow, that smells awesome. I say that. Okay, it's starting to dissipate. For a second there, you know what I got? Popcorn. Like slightly buttered popcorn. You know the other beer I got that in recently from them? Their peanut butter cup stout within their Blackwater series. I want to say I reviewed that one within the past couple of years. And that was a very divisive beer in terms of, I had a lot of people telling me, what are you talking about? And then other people going, yeah, I totally get that popcorn. I don't know if it's, the natural flavors are using, or maybe something specifically in terms of the brewing process. But this nose right here smelled very akin to that. I go back, you know what, it's not popcorn, it's more of a, like a kettle corn, or like a sweet popcorn. But then underneath that, there's definitely coffee, there's chocolate. It's if you get like one of them artisan popcorns where it's like flavored. So let's say if this was a flavored popcorn that had like cocoa powder on it, and maybe like coffee and like vanilla, that's kind of what I'm getting in the nose, which is tiramisu. I mean, was it like ladyfingers, cocoa powder, coffee? Each time I go back, it's different. This is, wow, what is happening? I smelled that first. I was like, that smells awesome. Went back, smelled like popcorn, went back. Smells like a sweet artisan popcorn, went back. Now the popcorn's gone. I think it's just the richness of the natural flavors. It definitely smells like a dessert beer. It's sweet vanilla, sweet chocolate. The coffee's there. And again, that popcorn flavor could just be those natural flavors. It's starting to die down a bit. And it's almost giving me butterscotch, more butterscotch. So kind of like creme brulee from them. A touch of like a roasted malt. I will say this. If you're somebody who doesn't like when you see the label says whatever, ale, Imperial Stout with natural flavors, you're probably going to smell this and be like, yeah, no, that's the natural flavors I expect. I am one of them people that I wish breweries would stop brewing with these natural flavors. It's probably, something to cut down on costs. Or maybe it's like they could put ale with vanilla, coffee, chocolate, whatever, but it's much easier to just say natural flavors and encompass whatever. I wish that breweries went back to listing specifically the adjuncts and ingredients in the beer when you have an adjuncted beer like this. When you add, when you have these additives in there, instead of just covering your base and say natural flavors, tell me exactly what's in here so I know. It smells sweet. It smells definitely desserty. I hope it's not overly sweet. I hope I don't get that like popcorn-esque thing. Let's see. Cheers, everyone. Well, luckily the popcorn didn't carry over. But what did is a very intense, like roasted coffee, more so than anything. Like the coffee character in here, after that first sip, kind of reminds me of their Java from yesteryear in terms of the intensity. Buying this is higher side of medium, lower side of full, 10%. I'm okay with it. The mouthfeel, it's nice, moderate carbonation to it. Still has a smoothness to it. Touch of creaminess from the lactose. Shout out to Joe over at Joe's Arcade. Hashtag no way Jose. Doesn't like lactose in beer. For specific, for personal reasons, but also I agree with him. Like I don't think I've ever met a beer where I need lactose in it. Like I just don't. So I would prefer not to be a beer, just in general. Like some of the best milkshake IPAs, which I don't even like the style all that much, have been ones that just rely on vanilla as opposed to lactose. So I wish they would. Most of the Blackwater beers that of recent memory definitely have lactose, like their Chestnut Praline, which isn't part of the Blackwater series, which I reviewed 2 weeks ago, that had lactose in it too. A lot of breweries use, lactose to kind of bump up the body and the mouthfeel and everything, the sweetness as well. The taste, it's nice. I'm glad that popcorn flavor didn't carry over the taste, because I'd have been pretty upset about that. That peanut butter cup was ruined because of that popcorn flavor. One of the worst beers I had from Southern Tier in recent memory. This does not have that issue. This is very rich. It's very sweet. It's decadent. This is a one and done beer for me after those couple sips without question. But I think it hits the nail on the head with tiramisu. I shouldn't say it hits the nail on the head. It's very akin to tiramisu if you were to put it into a big Imperial Stout. Like Forefront. It has this nice darker bready kind of confectionery kind of like a cakey feel to it, right? Then right after that is sweeter dark chocolate, intense coffee. There's a nice accentuation of vanilla. That's pretty much the main component throughout the palate. It's an underlying dark fruit that probably doesn't belong here, but it's just part of the base beer. More of like I usually say, sweet dark cherry, something in that realm. You could probably say any dark fruit, and I wouldn't argue it. But on the finish, it does have a nice dryness. So the one saving grace of this beer is it's very dry on the finish. It's not like bone dry, but it's firmly dry. No bitterness to speak of, at least that I'm picking up on. 10%. No, I don't feel it on the palate. No astringency whatsoever. No even warming in the chest. It's like a little bit into my stomach, but hides the alcohol extremely well. Definitely a sipping beer. Definitely a nightcap beer and a dessert beer as a whole. They're not, this series is definitely a dessert beer style based on what they have called it. You can call it a Imperial Pastry Stout series. It's really nice. This is really nice. I mean, you got to call a spade, and I'll be honest with you. I said we'll talk about the Blackwater series later. We'll do that right now. I feel like the old school Blackwater series from Southern Tier. So back when I started getting into craft beer and drinking it, late 09, early 2010. You know, I had oat from them. I think was the first one I had. Chocolate, Java, mocha, creme brulee, others I'm forgetting. They did exactly what you would hope they would do. They had it was a big imperial dessert beer. Like chocolate blew me away the first time I had it. It was like, holy crap, this tastes like sweet chocolate. It's 10%. It's not over the top sweetness. Back then, it was like that. You know, there wasn't pastry stouts. Every brewery wasn't brewing a pastry stout. So it was kind of a special thing. And I remember those beers specifically. But then they brought back mocha recently, earlier this year. I think I reviewed it. And it was good. Don't get me wrong. It was good, but it wasn't as good as I remember it being. Now, it could be my own palate and what I'm remembering. When I just didn't resonate. But then, you know, I throw into consideration the peanut butter cup Blackwater Imperial Stout, the Hazelnut Deluxe. I really didn't care for either of those beers. I thought the Hazelnut was better than the Peanut Butter Cup. Peanut Butter Cup was the worst beer I had from Southern Tier ever. Like, it just was for me. It was burnt popcorn, just grossness. Hazelnut Deluxe was a bit too sweet, just really didn't deliver. I was hoping for, like, you know, big Nutella vibes, just didn't deliver. This, though, this is good. I always, when you come to Beer Patrol, you always get honesty. And Southern Tier is one of my favorite New York breweries of all time. And I like trying out their stuff nowadays, still to this day. And they make some good beers still. I mean, I did a comparison of IPA, their IPA for their 2X IPA. It was a lot of fun recently. They're a great brewery, in my opinion, or a brewery that I still appreciate. And it's disappointing when I get their Blackwater Series beers nowadays and they just don't deliver. I'm not going to say this delivers, but this comes close to what I kind of want out of it. Outside of that kind of popcorn-esque aroma, the taste is nice. And it hides the alcohol well. Body and mouthfeel are nice. It's a good beer as a whole. So I'm not going to go super high on this one, but I'm going to give this a nice score because I think this is a very nice beer. Probably the best new Blackwater Series beer from Southern Tier in a hot minute. If we just take out the re-releases, the nitro beers, because I don't really count the nitro beers. They're nitro. They're not regular Blackwater Series beer. This is probably my favorite in a hot minute. So Tiramisu, part of the Blackwater Series, 2024 release. I'm going to go high 4 out of 5 and go 4.1. I think that's a fair score for what I'm drinking here. Really good. If you like tiramisu, you like imperial stouts, yeah, pick this one up. I don't think you'd be disappointed. Maybe you will be. I don't know. We're all different. And that's what I've realized. I shouldn't have taken the reviews on YouTube to decipher that we're all different. But when you start reviewing beers on YouTube and then you see, hundreds of people watching your reviews and they come back to you and tell you why they disagree with you, whether good or bad, you realize very quickly that everybody's different, and that when it comes to specifically food and drink, we're all going to have different opinions. So this is where I usually say this at the end, but if you've had this one before in the past month or past month and a half it's been out, post in the comment section. Let me know what you think about it. Do you think they did a good job with it? Were you underwhelmed by it? What is your opinion? I think they did a good job with it. It's not blowing my socks off, but it's also way better than a lot of their recent Blackwater beers. Price point availability. In the Western New York area, we typically pay $13.99 a 4-pack. Over the years, people have told me that when they see it, it's $16 4-pack, it's $18 4-pack. Some people even paying $20 4-pack. For this beer specifically, I'd probably go up to $5 a bottle. I paid $3.99, I think, for that bottle, or like $3.79 or something like that. But I would go up to $5 for a single bottle. I don't think I paid $20 4-pack, but $16 to $18 would be probably upper echelon of what I'd be willing to pay. Might be a little bit cheaper, a little bit more expensive where you are, but Western New York area, $13.99 4-pack. And availability, it's Southern Tier. This is one of their newer releases. If you see Southern Tier stuff and you see a lot of their Blackwater series, then you probably should see this. Doesn't mean you won't. Check out their beer finder on their website if they have one. I think they do. It's not always accurate, but at the same time, what other options you got other than checking out your beer stores locally and seeing if they have it? That's the other option. So again, if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Please let me know what you thought about it. I think it hides the alcohol relatively well for what it is too. So this is a scary drinkable beer, but at the same time, the drinkability is like, oh, you realized I don't taste the 10%. It's like drinkability goes up, and then you're like, well, it's rich, it's decadent, it's a little bit too much of one thing. It goes down a bit. I think I'm one and done with this beer, but if I'm being honest, when it comes to Blackwater Series, I'm typically one and done. If we harken back to the early 2010s and came in the 22 fluid ounce bombers instead of the 12 fluid ounce bottles, that was pushing it. I'd rather split those still even back then, but I could have drank a 22 fluid ounce bottle back then. There's no way if this was in a bomber, I'd be drinking it all. I'm going to drink the rest of this and just be done. But anyway, till the next one. Cheers, check back. Next Wednesday, no Western New York Wednesday next week. Why? It's Christmas. And I'm doing the holiday themed beer reviews. I already got stuff picked out. In fact, the next 2 Wednesdays, probably not Western New York Wednesday, but a little birdie told me. And if you made it this far, you'll get a little bit of a cheat, but I'm going to try and get my new camera up and running for January 1st. And I'm going to hopefully post 2 reviews on January 1st. The holiday beer review that I have, that you've already, you know what's going to be. And then I'm going to do maybe a Western New York Wednesday later in the day with the new camera. We'll see. Can't promise it, but if you made it to the end, you'll know that. If not, you probably won't. Cheers.